The night was quiet, too quiet for the alien mother who always listened to the winds outside her small home. The stars above were sharp and bright, but inside, the air felt heavy. She had just closed her tired eyes when a small voice touched her ears. "Mom, something grows on my back." Her son stood at her bedside, his voice trembling. His hands clutched the thin blanket around his body. His eyes, wide and scared, shone with the kind of fear a child could not hide. The mother's heart skipped. She rose quickly and knelt beside him, her hands shaking. "What do you mean, child?" she whispered, afraid that even the walls might hear. The boy turned, his small back facing her. The faint moonlight through the window fell on his skin. At first she saw nothing, but when her fingers touched, she froze. Beneath the skin were ridges sharp and unnatural, like bones trying to break through. Her breath caught in her throat. The blood drained from her face. She had heard stories, old stories, forbidden stories, whispered by elders around dying fires, but she had never thought those cursed words would come for her son. The child trembled. "It hurts, Mom. It burns inside." Tears ran down his cheeks, his voice cracked. "Please make it stop." The mother pulled him close, holding him tightly as if her embrace could push away the pain, but her body shook. She pressed her forehead to his hair, whispering soft promises she herself did not believe. "It's nothing, my child, maybe just a sickness. Tomorrow it will be gone," she lied. Her voice was gentle, but her heart was breaking. The boy whimpered, but he trusted her words. He buried his face in her chest, trying to believe, trying to sleep. Yet the mother could not close her eyes again. She sat awake, rocking him in silence. Her mind was a storm. She remembered how in the past, when such marks appeared, the village would call the elders. The elders would send word to the soldiers, and the child would be taken, never to return. Some said those children became weapons, others said they were destroyed before they could become monsters. And now, it was her son. Her only son. The night stretched endlessly. Every shadow in the room seemed to move. Every creak of the old wood made her heart jump. She prayed silently, though she no longer knew if the gods were listening. The boy's breathing slowed, finally sinking into restless sleep. The mother gently laid him down on the old mat. Her eyes lingered on his back. Her hands still remembered the sharpness beneath. Her knees grew weak. She could not stand. She fell onto the floor beside him, silent tears running down her cheeks. Her body bent forward until her forehead touched the ground. Pain twisted inside her chest. Her mind screamed, but no sound left her lips. She had no answers, only fear, only sorrow. "Why him?" she whispered into the silence of the night. "Why, my child?" Her tears dripped on the floor. Her heart felt like it was being torn apart, piece by piece. She would rather face death herself than see her child marked by this fate. Outside, the wind rose, brushing against the walls of the home, carrying the voices of the night. It felt as though the world itself knew what had begun inside this small house. The mother stayed on her knees, unable to rise. She pressed her hands together, as if begging some unseen power for mercy. Her body trembled. Her soul cried. Her son shifted in his sleep, whimpering. His small hand reached out, searching for her. Even in dreams, he was afraid. The mother crawled back to him and wrapped him in her arms once more. Her lips touched his, forehead salty with tears. She whispered, "I will not let them take you, my child," though she did not know how she could keep that promise. The ridges on his back pulsed faintly, glowing for just an instant before fading. The mother saw it, and her heart dropped deeper into despair. This was no sickness. This was the beginning of something greater, something terrible. And she knew when the sun rose, the world outside would not forgive. The long night stretched on, filled with fear and unanswered prayers. A single truth pressed on her heart like a blade. Her life, her son's life, and perhaps the fate of the village had just changed forever. The morning sun broke slowly across the alien village, painting the stone houses with pale light. Smoke curled from cooking fires, and the sound of distant chatter rose as neighbors, began their day. But inside one small home, silence pressed heavy. The mother sat by her child, staring at him as though she could keep him safe by never blinking. Her son stirred awake, blinking with sleepy eyes. He smiled weakly, as if trying to be brave for her. "Mom, maybe it's gone now," he whispered, hope trembling in his small voice. Her hands shook as she slowly lifted the back of his tunic. She wanted so badly to tell him yes, to tell him he was fine, but when the cloth slid down, her breath caught. The ridges were clearer now, pushing higher against his skin. And worse, thin glowing lines faintly ran between them, pulsing like veins of light. The boy flinched. "It hurts again," he said softly. The mother closed her eyes, her chest tight. Memories flooded back. Old stories, warnings carved into the minds of all who grew up in the village long ago, it was said. Children who bore the sign were not children at all. They were chosen or cursed by something beyond. Some claimed they were marked to serve the empire as living weapons. Others believed they carried an ancient bloodline feared across the stars. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain. Those, with the sign never returned. The mother's lips trembled as she whispered, "The forbidden sign." Her voice was no louder than a breath, but the words themselves carried the weight of death. She pulled her son into her arms, pressing his face against her chest. Her tears wet his hair. The boy looked up at her, confused, frightened. "What does it mean, Mom? Why are you crying?" She tried to smile, but it broke into pieces. "It means they will try to take you from me." His small hands grabbed hers, his voice desperate. "No, don't let them. I'll stay here with you. I don't want to go." Her heart cracked deeper at his words. She wanted to promise, to swear that she would fight the world if needed. But fear strangled her throat. She had no plan, no power, no protection against the empire that would come if anyone discovered the truth. The sound of footsteps outside made her body stiffen. She quickly pulled his tunic back down, covering the ridges. Her eyes darted toward the door. 2 neighbors passed by, their voices low. "Strange lights in the night sky," one said. "The soldiers watch for signs. You know what happens when a child is marked." The mother's stomach turned cold. She held her son closer, whispering in his ear, "You must not tell anyone. Do you hear me? No matter how much it hurts, you must keep silent, promise me." The boy nodded quickly, his eyes wide. "I promise, Mom, I won't tell anyone." But promises from a child were fragile, especially when pain cut so deep. Later, as the day wore on, she moved about the house with trembling hands, trying to act normal. The boy sat quietly, though every now and then he winced, clutching at his back. She forced herself not to rush to him every time. Too much concern would draw eyes, and eyes would draw suspicion. When evening came, the mother lit a small oil lamp. Her son had finally drifted into uneasy sleep. She sat alone, staring at the flame, her mind haunted by what she had seen. She remembered her grandmother's voice, rough and low, telling the tale of the winged curse. Children with glowing ridges grew into something not of this world, something feared even by warriors. Some said they carried the spirit of an ancient conqueror. Others whispered they were destined to break empires. The mother shook her head violently, refusing the thought. "No, he is just a boy, my boy," she whispered. But deep inside, she knew the forbidden sign was no simple illness. It was destiny, cruel and heavy. Her body bent forward until her forehead touched the floor once more. "Please, whoever listens," she prayed to gods she had long stopped believing in. "Take this from him. Give it to me instead. Let me bear the pain, not him." But the ridges were not on her back. They were on his, glowing faintly in the dark, reminding her that prayers could not change fate. A sudden knock at the door jolted her. Her blood ran cold. She quickly pulled the blanket over her son, hiding him, then rushed to open the door. Just a crack. A neighbor stood outside, a woman with sharp eyes. "I heard crying last night," she said, her tone filled with curiosity. "Is the boy sick?" The mother forced a smile, though her lips trembled. "Only a fever, he will be fine," she lied. The woman's eyes lingered on her face too long, as if searching for cracks in the lie. Finally, she gave a small nod and walked away. The mother closed the door and leaned against it, her knees weak. That was close, too close. She knew suspicion was already blooming. The whispers would grow, and soon they would reach the ears of those who should never know. She turned to look at her son, his small body curled beneath the blanket, his breathing soft. For him, she would lie, she would fight. She would burn the world if needed, but deep in her chest, one truth clawed at her. The forbidden sign had appeared, and no mother's love could erase it. The next morning began like any other, but for the alien mother, every sound felt sharper. Every laugh, every greeting from her neighbors cut through her nerves. She held her son's hand tightly as they stepped outside, forcing a smile on her lips. The boy walked slowly, his shoulders stiff, hiding the pain from his back. But children were not good at hiding. One neighbor noticed, whispering to another, "Why does he walk like that? Something is wrong." The whispers carried, soft at first, but in a small village, secrets never stayed hidden long. By the time the mother reached the market square, eyes were already on her, some curious, some suspicious. She tried to keep calm, buying bread and fruit as if nothing had changed. Her son clung to her side, his head lowered, his small hand trembled inside hers. A group of children ran past, laughing. One of them stopped and pointed. "Why does his back look so strange?" The boy froze, his face burning red. The mother quickly pulled him close, her heart pounding. "He is fine," she said firmly, her voice louder than she intended. Too loud. She saw the sharp glance of the butcher, the raised brow of the baker. Their stares cut into her like knives. That night she scolded her son gently, though her voice was full of love. "You must not show your back to anyone. Do you understand? If they see, they will tell the elders." The boy nodded, tears filling his eyes. "I'm sorry, Mom, I tried." She hugged him tight. "It is not your fault. It is mine. I should protect you better." But even as she said it, she knew protection was slipping through her fingers like sand. Days passed, and the whispers grew louder. Villagers began to avoid them. Some no longer greeted her with a smile. Some closed their doors as she walked by. She felt the walls closing in one evening. As the sky turned red with sunset, she overheard two men talking near the well. "They say her boy has the mark," one murmured. "The forbidden sign." The other spat on the ground. "If that is true, the elders must know. We cannot risk the soldiers' wrath. If the Empire finds out we hid such a child, all of us will pay." The mother's blood turned to ice. She rushed her son home, her hands shaking as she locked the door. The boy looked at her with wide, frightened eyes. "What's happening, Mom?" She knelt before him, cupping his face in her hands. "Listen to me. You must be strong. No matter what happens, I will never leave you." Her voice cracked, but she forced strength into her words. That night, the boy's pain grew worse. He cried out in his sleep, his back glowing faintly beneath the blanket. The light spilled across the room, soft but impossible to ignore. The mother tried to cover it, to hide it, even from the night itself. But it was useless. The glow came from within him, a fire that could not be smothered. Outside, she thought she saw shadows moving, eyes watching from the dark. She pressed her back against the door, praying silently that no one had seen. But she knew the truth. The village was already watching. The walls of secrecy were crumbling. The next morning, an elder woman came to her door, tall and thin, her face carved with wrinkles like dry earth. She looked at the mother with sharp, "As your boy does not play with the others, he hides, he cries at night. What sickness does he carry?" The mother forced a smile. "Only fever. He will recover soon." But the elder's eyes narrowed as if she could see through lies. "Be careful," she said. "The Empire punishes those who hide sickness, and what you hide may not be sickness at all." When she left, the mother's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the water jug she carried. Her son ran to her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Mom, they know," he whispered. She stroked his hair, her eyes full of tears. "Let them suspect, but they will not take you. Not while I breathe." That night, she stayed awake again, watching over him. His back glowed brighter now, the ridges pushing harder. She wept silently, knowing time was running out. She thought of fleeing, leaving the village, running into the wilderness, but the Empire's reach was wide, and the world outside was cruel. Without food, without shelter, her son would not last long, yet staying meant death or worse. The boy stirred in his sleep, whispering, "Mom, don't let them see." Her chest broke at his words, so small, so full of trust. He was only a child, yet already carrying fear too heavy for his years. Outside, dogs barked, voices rose. The mother crept to the window, pulling the curtain aside just enough to see. A group of men stood in the square, speaking in hushed, angry tones. One of them pointed toward her house. The truth was no longer whispered. It was spreading like fire. The village had seen too much, and soon the elders would make their decision. The mother fell to her knees again, her face buried in her hands. Her tears soaked the floor. Her son's fate was no longer in her control. But deep inside her heart, one thought burned like steel. If the village tried to take him, if the Empire came for him, she would not surrender. She would fight until her last breath. The village square was restless that day. Whispers of the boy had grown into murmurs, murmurs into cautious stares. The mother kept her son close, his small hand locked in hers. Every glance from a neighbor felt like a knife. The air itself seemed heavy with suspicion. It was then that a stranger appeared. A tall figure walked slowly through the dusty road that cut across the square. His clothes were worn, patched in many places, and his boots were thick with mud from long travel. His face was weathered, his beard short but unkempt. Unlike the villagers, his eyes were not the color of the twin suns, but deep and dark. He was human. Humans were rare in this part of the Empire. They wandered sometimes as traders, sometimes as outcasts, and often as mercenaries. Most villagers avoided them, seeing only trouble, but this one carried no weapon, only a heavy pack on his shoulders and a tired look in his eyes. He moved toward the well, bending to draw water. His gaze swept across the square, and for a moment, it met hers. The mother quickly looked away, clutching her son tighter, but it was too late. The stranger had noticed. He had seen the way she gripped the boy's hand, the way the child winced with each step. Later, as she hurried home with her son, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned sharply, fear in her chest. The human stood a short distance away, his hands raised in peace. "I mean no harm," he said in a rough but calm voice. "I only ask, what is wrong with your boy?" Her heart raced. "Nothing," she replied quickly. "He is fine." She pulled her son closer, ready to run if needed. But the man's eyes did not leave hers. "I have seen that look before," he said softly. "The way he holds his back, the way you shake when others watch, I know the signs." Her blood froze. She stepped back, her voice breaking. You know nothing. Go away." The stranger did not move closer, but his voice lowered, serious now. "When I was a soldier, I saw children taken by the Empire, children with ridges and glowing marks. Some were turned into things no longer human, no longer alien, just weapons. I never forgot their cries." The mother's breath caught. Her son pressed his face into her side. Trembling, she whispered, almost pleading, "Then you know why I must hide him, why no one can know." The man's jaw tightened, his eyes softened. But there was pain there too. "Yes, I know. But you cannot hide him forever. They will come. The more you deny it, the faster their eyes will turn toward you." She shook her head, her tears close. "He is my son, not a weapon, not a curse, just my child. I will protect him. I will not let them take him." The stranger's gaze dropped to the boy. His face softened as he saw the small figure peeking out with wide, frightened eyes. He knelt slowly, careful not to scare him. "What is your name, little one?" he asked gently. The boy hesitated, then whispered, "Taryn." The man gave a small smile, though sadness lingered in his voice. "Taryn, you must be strong, stronger than you believe. The fire inside you is dangerous, but it can also be hope, if guided. The mother pulled Taryn behind her quickly, fear flashing in her eyes. "You should leave," she said sharply. "If anyone sees you speaking with us, it will bring more danger." The human straightened, adjusting his pack. He looked at her with steady eyes. "Danger is already here," he said, "and when it comes knocking at your door, you will need more than love to keep him safe." With that, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd of the market, leaving the mother trembling. That night, Taryn cried again. The ridges on his back glowed brighter, spreading across his shoulders like fire beneath his skin. His small body twisted with pain, his screams muffled against the blanket she held to his mouth. The mother's tears fell onto his hair. "Please, please endure, my child. Please hold on," she begged, rocking him in her arms. A knock echoed at the door, hard and sharp. Her body froze. She pressed her son close, her heart thundering. Another knock, louder this time, she whispered, "Quiet, don't move," and crept to the door, pressing her ear against the wood. Voices outside whispered, "We must tell the elders. The boy is cursed. He is dangerous." Her knees weakened. She held her breath until the voices faded, then slid down to the floor, covering her mouth to keep from sobbing aloud. When she turned back, she saw the faint outline of the ridges glowing under the blanket, stronger now, impossible to hide for long. Her mind flashed to the human stranger's words. Danger is already here. She realized he was right. The village no longer trusted her. The whispers had grown into certainty, and when the elders acted, the soldiers would follow her. Son stirred, whispering weakly, "Mom, am I bad? Is this my fault?" Her heart shattered. She held his face, her tears falling onto his cheeks. "No, my son, you are not bad. You are the best thing in my life, and I will never let them tell you otherwise." But even as she said it, fear gnawed at her chest. Because love alone could not stop what was coming, and in the shadows of the night, unseen by her, the human stranger watched from a distance, his eyes heavy with knowledge and a decision he had not yet spoken, to walk away and let fate take its course, or to stay and fight for a child who was not his own. The night was restless. Clouds covered the twin moons, and the village seemed to sleep under a heavy silence. But inside the small home there was no peace. Taryn tossed and turned on his mat, his small hands clawing at the blanket, his face twisted with pain, his body shook, and his back burned, as if fire had been lit inside his skin. "Mom," he cried out, his voice sharp with agony. The mother rushed to his side, pulling him into her arms. Her hands pressed against his back, but the heat made her gasp. It was like touching a coal from the fire pit. Beneath his skin, the ridges throbbed, and the faint glow spread wider like veins of light crawling across his shoulders. Taryn sobbed, "It hurts. Please make it stop." His tears soaked her clothes, his body trembled violently. The mother wept with him, rocking him as if he were still a baby. "I'm here, my child, I'm here," she whispered. But her own voice cracked. She could not stop this pain. She could only hold him as it consumed him. Then the glow brightened, filling the small room with eerie light. Shadows danced across the walls. The mother pressed the blanket over his back, trying to dim it. But the fabric could not hide the truth. The glow pulsed with his heartbeat, stronger each time. A sudden knock shook the door, hard and commanding. "Open!" A deep voice ordered. "The elders demand to see the boy." The mother's blood froze. She clutched Taryn tighter, whispering, "Quiet. Don't make a sound." The knocking grew louder, fists pounding. The neighbors' voices outside rose in a mix of fear and anger. "We saw the light. It comes from him. He is cursed. Bring him out." Taryn cried harder, his voice breaking. "Mom, they know. They know." Her tears fell faster. She kissed his forehead. "I will not let them take you," she swore, even though she had no idea how she could. "Keep that promise." The door rattled as someone tried to push it open. Her heart raced. She slid the heavy wooden bar into place, locking it. But she knew it would not hold for long. Suddenly, another voice cut through the chaos. calm but firm. Enough. Lee. Pounding stopped and the crowd murmured. The mother's eyes widened. She knew that voice. It was the human stranger. What you do is madness, he said outside. You want to drag a child out of his mother's arms? Is this your honor? Is this your courage? He is cursed, one villager shouted back. The sign burns on his back. We all saw it. Then what? The stranger asked, his tone sharp. You will hand him to the empire? You will invite soldiers into your homes, to tear apart your families, to enslave your children too? The crowd grew silent at his words, unease rippling among them. Inside, the mother pressed her ear to the wall, tears still streaming. She whispered, Why would he defend us? Taryn groaned, curling in her lap. His back glowed so brightly now that the whole room shimmered with white-blue light. The ridges pushed harder, like wings trying to break free from under his skin. His scream tore through. The air, raw and painful. The mother held him, whispering desperately, Stay with me, my child. Stay with me. Then the stranger's voice lowered, but it carried through the door. I have seen this before, and I tell you, if you hand him over, his blood will curse this village forever, but if you protect him, maybe, just maybe, he can be saved. The crowd muttered, some angry, some uncertain. The mother clung to her son, praying they would leave, praying the human's words would scatter their fear. Finally, after what felt like hours, the voices faded. The footsteps retreated, the pounding stopped, silence returned. The mother collapsed to the floor, shaking. Her son still writhed in her arms, his body hot as fire. She whispered into his ear, They are gone. You are safe for now. But inside, she knew safety was only an illusion. Later, as the night deepened, the human knocked softly on the door. It's me, he said quietly. Open, please. They will come again, and you cannot face this alone. The mother hesitated, torn between fear and desperation. Finally, she slid the bar away and opened the door a crack. The human's face was tired, but his eyes were steady. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. His gaze fell on Taryn, and he drew in a sharp breath. The boy's back glowed faintly, the ridges higher now, almost cutting through the skin. The human knelt, speaking softly. The pain will not stop, not yet. It is the change. It is beginning. The mother's voice broke. Then tell me, what can I do? How can I save him? The stranger's jaw tightened. There may be no saving, only surviving. The Empire will come when they hear of this. You must be ready. Taryn whimpered, his small hand reaching for his mother. She held him tightly, whispering, I will protect you always. But in her heart she knew, this was no ordinary sickness, no ordinary fate. This was the forbidden sign awakening, and it was only the beginning. The next day dawned under a heavy sky. Clouds rolled across the Yo. Suns and the village streets felt tense and empty. The mother sat by Taryn's side, wiping the sweat from his forehead. His breathing was shallow, and his back still pulsed faintly with that strange glow. She had not slept at all. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her body weak, but her spirit clung to one thought, protect him. A soft knock came at the door, not the angry pounding of villagers, but measured, cautious. She opened it just enough to see the human standing there. His face was serious. They are meeting. Today, he said quietly. The elders. They will decide what to do about you and the boy. Her heart dropped. She clutched the doorframe to steady herself. What will they decide? The human's gaze darkened. They will hand him over. If they don't, soldiers will come anyway. The Empire always hears of such things. The mother shook her head fiercely. No, I will not let them take him. I would rather die. The human stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then you must choose. You cannot wait for their mercy. You must act before they act. She looked back at Taryn, who lay weak but awake. His eyes searched hers, so full of fear. Mom, are they going to take me? He whispered. Her throat tightened. She knelt and stroked his hair, forcing strength into her trembling voice. No, my son. I will never let them. But even as she said it, she felt the walls closing in. Later that day, the sound of drums echoed. Across the square, the elders had gathered, the entire village crowded beneath the old tree where judgments were declared. The mother stood among them, Taryn hidden beneath her cloak, pressed tightly to her side. The human stood near the back, watching quietly. An elder with a long staff raised her hand for silence, her voice carried across the crowd. We have seen the glow. We have heard the cries in the night. The boy carries the forbidden sign. Gasps spread through the villagers, fear mixing with anger. Another elder spoke. If we do nothing, the Empire will punish us all. Our families will suffer. We must hand him over before they arrive. The mother's legs shook. Her arms tightened around Taryn. She wanted to scream, to beg, but her voice was trapped. Her son pressed his face into her chest, whispering, Mom, don't let them. A third elder raised his staff. The choice is simple. Hand over the boy, or condemn us all. The mother's chest burned with rage and pain. Her knees gave way and she fell before them, tears running down her face. She cried out, He is not a curse. He is my child. Please, I beg you, he is innocent. But the crowd was unmoved. Fear ruled their hearts, not compassion. Some shouted, Hand him over. Others cried, Save the village. The human finally stepped forward, his voice sharp. You call yourselves wise, but you are cowards. You would throw a child to the wolves to save yourselves. What kind of strength is that? The elders glared at him. You are not one of us, human. Your words carry no weight here. But the man did not back down. His eyes burned. I have seen what the Empire does. I have seen children torn apart and turned into monsters. If you give this boy to them, his blood will stain this village forever. The crowd shifted uneasily, torn between fear of the Empire and the shame of the human's words. The mother rose slowly, her body trembling, her voice cracked but strong. If you want him, you will have to take him from me, and I will not. Go quietly. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The elders exchanged shocked looks. The human stepped beside her, placing a hand on his weapon for the first time. His eyes scanned the crowd, daring anyone to move. She will not stand alone, he said firmly. The villagers muttered in fear and confusion. Some stepped back, others clenched their fists. The elders raised their staffs for order, but the moment was broken when a sound carried across the square, the sharp echo of marching boots. Everyone turned, fear spread like fire. A column of Empire soldiers appeared at the far edge of the village, their black armor gleaming, their banners high. The mother's heart nearly stopped. She pulled Taryn close, whispering frantically, Run, my child, we must run. The human grabbed her arm, his voice urgent. No, don't run. They will catch you in the open. We must hide now. The villagers scattered in panic, doors slamming shut, cries filling the air. The mother clutched Taryn with all her strength, her eyes locked on the soldiers marching closer. Her body trembled, but her soul burned with a single truth. She would not surrender. Not now. Not ever. She looked at the human, her voice steady, despite the storm inside her. If you truly mean to stand with us, then stand now, for my choice is made. I will fight for him until my last breath. The human met her gaze, and for the first time, a flicker of respect shone in his eyes. He nodded, tightening his grip on the weapon at his side. The drums of the Empire grew louder. The ground shook under their boots. The air smelled of iron and fire. The mother held her son close, whispering into his ear, No matter what happens, I love you. I will never let you go. And as the soldiers drew nearer, the village watched in silence, waiting to see what fate awaited the boy with the forbidden sign, the mother who refused to surrender and the human who chose to stand at their side. The ground shook beneath the marching boots. The air carried the metallic clang of armor and the cold rhythm of drums. The Empire soldiers entered the village square, their black helmets reflecting the pale suns. Their leader raised a hand, and the column stopped in unison. Silence fell, broken only by the ragged breathing of villagers hiding behind shutters and doors. All eyes were on the mother, who clutched Taryn against her chest, and on the human standing at her side, his weapon now drawn. The commander's voice rang out, sharp and merciless. Bring forth the child. We know he carries the sign. He belongs to the Empire now. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The mother's knees shook, but she forced her body between the soldiers and her son, her voice cracked but strong. He belongs to me. He is my son, not yours, the commander sneered, raising his hand. Take them. The soldiers stepped forward, their boots pounding like thunder. The mother braced herself, pulling Terran behind her, but before the soldiers reached her, Terran cried out, his scream piercing the air. Mom! His small body arched, the ridges on his back glowing with blinding light. The air trembled. The soldiers stopped, shielding their eyes. The mother turned in horror and awe. Her son's back split open, not with blood, but with light. From the ridges burst out shapes, sharp luminous wings made of pure energy. They spread wide, filling the square with a storm of light. The villagers gasped in terror and wonder. Some fell to their knees, others covered their faces. Terran's scream echoed as the glow grew stronger. His small form lifted slightly from the ground. The wings beat once and the dust of the square swirled into a storm. The commander shouted, "Seize him now!" But the soldiers hesitated, fear gripping them. None had seen such a thing, none dared move forward. The human stepped in front of the mother, his weapon raised, his voice thundered. "Do you not see? This is no curse. This is power the Empire cannot control." The mother fell to her knees, tears streaming. She reached for her son, whispering through sobs, "Terran, my child, you are not cursed. You are chosen." Her words seemed to reach him. His glowing eyes turned toward her. His small, trembling hands reached back, and slowly, painfully, he lowered himself into her arms. The wings folded behind him, still glowing but calmer now. The soldiers shifted uneasily. The commander's voice cracked with anger. "He is ours! Hand him over or we burn this village to the ground." The human stepped forward, his voice sharp and defiant. "No, you will not touch him, not while I breathe." The commander raised his blade, but before he could strike, Terran's wings spread again. Their light flared, brighter than the suns themselves. The energy rippled through the square, knocking soldiers backward like leaves in a storm. The villagers cried out, shielding their eyes. Some whispered prayers, others screamed that the gods had sent a sign. When the light faded, the soldiers lay scattered, their armor cracked, their weapons broken. The commander struggled to rise, fear in his eyes now. He shouted retreat, and the remaining soldiers fled, stumbling from the square. Silence returned, heavy and absolute. Only the sound of the mother's sobs and Terran's soft breathing filled the air. The villagers emerged slowly, their faces pale. Some fell to their knees before the boy, others turned away, too afraid to look. The mother held her son tightly, her tears wetting his glowing skin. She whispered, "You are no curse, my child. You are my miracle." The human stepped closer, his voice softer now. "He is more than that. He is a new beginning. The Empire will come again and harder, but tonight, you showed them fear." Terran leaned against his mother, his small voice weak. "Mom, did I hurt them? Am I bad?" Her heart broke at his words. She kissed his forehead, whispering, "No, my son. You are not bad. You are strong. You are loved." The human placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, his eyes steady. "Remember this moment, Terran. The galaxy will remember it too." The villagers looked on, their fear slowly shifting into something else. Respect, awe, and a spark of hope. For the first time, they saw not a curse, but a light that could stand against the Empire. The mother lifted her head, her voice trembling but proud. "They will not take you from me. My son will live. My son will rise." And above them, the glowing wings of the child shone against the dark sky. A beacon in the night, a warning to the Empire, and a promise to a mother who had chosen to fight until the end. That night, everything changed. A boy became more than a child. A mother became more than a protector. And a single village witnessed the beginning of a legend that would echo across the stars.